G'day friends and foes, Arjay here. So this will be TINLA, or This Is Not Legal Advice, episode 11, and it's a bit of a follow-up on TINLA 10, which concerned the St Edward's Crown. As a lot of you would be aware, there has been promoted a certain theory that the Queen, as in Queen Elizabeth II, is not Queen concerning Australia at all. So I'm not referring to the style of the titles or Royal Style and Titles Act at the moment, but the theory most famously probably purported by Stephen Spiers or Stephen Spiers or Stephen Sears. Different people call him different things, but it's actually Stephen Spiers apparently. Anyway, so he claims basically that we'll go through a couple of things. So one, that George V was the last real monarch of Australia. That two, the reason for that is that Australia became a completely sovereign, independent nation based on the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. And some other people say it's when Australia joined the International Labour Organization, which is basically a communist group. But if you look into it, in my opinion. And anyway, so basically they claim that the Queen isn't the Queen because she wore the wrong crown when she was coronated, that she was coronated with the St Edward's crown, which is also known as the Coronation crown, and that crown is allegedly Catholic because St Edward, or Edward the Confessor, was made a saint of the Roman Catholic Church, ignoring the fact that he's also a saint within the Anglican Church. And anyway, so basically this is very paraphrased and summarized, that they claim that no monarch has used or utilized or worn the St Edward's crown since the signing of the Bill of Rights, 1688, 1689, depending on which date method you use, because the calendar's actually changed. So, as discovered in TINLA 10, that is false. The first king to use that crown after the Bill of Rights was signed was, in fact, William of Orange, or William III, who signed the Bill of Rights. So he was a Protestant king brought over and to the UK along with his wife. And anyway, so they used the crown, and then it hadn't been used for about 200 years. And then George V and George VI and Queen Elizabeth II all used the St Edward's crown, or the Coronation crown. And you can see video and photographs of that within the TINLA episode 10. There's videos even of King George VI being coronated with that crown. Therefore, Stephen's theory is incorrect for multiple reasons. One, for getting the facts wrong, that these other kings didn't use the crown. Two, there's claims that only Catholic kings have ever worn the crown, and this includes via Stephen's agent, what I consider an agent, Juha Kiskonen, also known as John K on YouTube. And that, according to Stephen, what can be read into it is that he believed that George V wore the imperial crown when he was being coronated, therefore had the right crown, therefore could be the king. He also claims that in 1917 that there was a Royal Styles and Titles Act passed in the UK, which specifically listed Australia, and that therefore King George V was the first and only king of Australia, despite that Stephen was actually involved with a purported coronation of a gentleman, I believe his name was Michael, around 2006 or 2007. The video of which was on YouTube back in 2006 or 2007 when it happened, which is where I first found out about Stephen Spiers. And that's also the reason why a lot of people, over time with the video actually being removed, believe that Stephen was the one who was coronated or purportedly coronated. And yeah, so if anyone's got a copy of that video, that would be cool to send to me, because it's an interesting video anyway. Anyway, so not only is that incorrect, I can also, when I do some screenshots, show you so-called St. Edward's sapphire. So even within the Imperial crown that Stephen claims is the only crown that someone can be coronated under to be a lawful monarch of Australia, etc., then the top of that crown has a big sapphire in it at the cross, and that sapphire, the story goes, was from Saint Edward, or Edward the Confessor's ring, and then later it was recut and it was set in the Imperial state crown. So again, based on his theory, therefore anyone wearing the Imperial crown should also not be a lawful monarch, according to him, according to his logic, that is, because they're wearing right at the top, in the middle of the cross, which cross is a Christian symbol, of course. Then they've got a Catholic sapphire. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so I'll go through a few screenshots, I guess, and attach that to this video. Also, Stephen has been going around defaming me because within that video I had stated, rightly so, that I had offered multiple times to publicly debate Stephen Spiers, or even because if that was too much pressure or whatever, especially since he's supposedly dying, based on one of his videos entitled Beep, that I could just do a normal interview with him, and like TINLA episode 5, so-called Arjay's Interesting People, and he apparently lives in the state where I'm currently living and probably doesn't live far away. So he was given that opportunity multiple times, both publicly announced or requested, such as attached to some of his videos on YouTube, published by his agent Juha, as well as I believe I also offered via his own video channel, maybe in a private message on there, and then also within the comments, which the comments have been now disabled on his videos, and like all the comments removed. So perhaps if I did offer on his own videos as well that he's deleted the things and now is accusing me of being a liar for not allegedly making such an offer of an open debate, and that's simply not correct. So not only did I offer via personal message to his agent Juha, and that includes Juha uploading Stephen's videos all the time, an indication of agency. So I offered Juha to debate and to please pass on a message to Stephen to have a debate or interview, both in private messages on Facebook via someone else's account, because I was unable to have my own account, and also publicly in the comments of videos of Stephen. So his videos on Juha's page or channel, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, I'm losing my voice as well. But, you know, it's not right, Stephen defaming me, calling me a liar, saying I didn't make such offers when I did, and luckily I was smart enough to do so publicly, which I'll show you some screenshots. So, therefore, you know, it is what it is. So, I'm not lying, I didn't lie, and not only didn't I lie, but Stephen lied in claiming that I lied. So, anyway, also, I might quickly go through a couple of passages in a screen recording of a couple of Stephen's ebooks, Realm and Man and Realm and the Commonwealth. Oh, sorry, Realm and Commonwealth. And also go through the royal styles of the British sovereign, so to speak. So, you know, what the monarch has called themselves or been called officially. So anyway, so I'll stop this video now and then I'll start screenshotting or screen recording rather, and do a little commentary over the top of that. Thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, donate if you like. Also, another person who has been very defamatory and doing what I allege is criminal activity is Rob Sudy. Apparently that's how you pronounce his name. Again, he was mentioned in regards to TINLA 10, the St Edward's crown, in relation to the meaning of crown, and you know, some other things. He's also mentioned in TINLA 9, which was a follow-up of the Royal Style and Titles Act 1973, the invalidity of that. And anyway, so I'll do a separate video on him. He's been, in my opinion, a very bad person and made a big mistake when he purported to be an Australian lawyer, someone holding a practicing certificate in law based on what he implied, and you know, that's a big no-no. So that'll be a separate video, and it'll be interesting days to see what happens to Rob Sudy, or Rob Sudy as I referred to him in a previous video, just so you know that I'm referring to the same person. And anyway, so I will do screenshots. Also, I would appreciate Juha and Stephen to respectfully do a reply to the St Edward's Crown claims, i.e. TINLA episode 10, as well as this one, and to please do so in a respectful manner, and you know, that'll be interesting to see what happens. Anyway, cheerio, and stay tuned for the screenshot and screen recording with a little bit of commentary if my voice holds out. Bye. So just quickly going through some things, I'll also put the screenshots of where I offered to publicly offered to debate Stephen. I won't include screenshots of private conversation with Juha at this stage. If they want to dispute that I made such offers, then you know, I can provide those as well. So this is one of Stephen's ebooks, Realm and Commonwealth. It does have some really cool pictures in it, as you see. What's that? St Edward's crown. But anyway, so by Stephen Spiers, copyright 2018. Thought the book was actually out before that, but maybe this is a different edition, an updated edition or something like that. But anyway, so we go down to the first George reference, and it states, yeah, I'll just read this little bit, I guess. So we take note that the royal styles and titles from Queen Victoria through to King George V, that the crown is referred to as the Imperial crown. This is also reflected in coat of arms, blah, blah, blah. And so we're looking at this part in particular. So the claim is that in the royal styles and titles from Queen Victoria to King George V, that the crown is referred to as Imperial crown. So here are the titles of the British monarch, or UK monarch, whatever you want to call them, since Queen Victoria, which is here. So we're looking for a reference to the crown being Imperial crown. As you can see, there is no Imperial crown mentioned at all. The closest thing is about, being Emperor of India or Empress of India. Yet that is not a, calling a crown imperial or not calling the crown imperial. And of course, that is no longer the case because India got its independence. So as you can see with the different titles, and they said till King George V, so really we're looking between there and there. So I think Stephen is perhaps confused where it says Empress of India, which is Indiae Imperator, that he's a bit confused with the Latin or something like that. So the 1837 to 1876 title or style was by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Then from 1876 to 1901, Empress of India was added. Then 1901 to 1927 for Edward VII and George V. It was by the grace of God of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland and of the British dominions beyond the seas, King, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. And then 1927 on, because he says it's until George V. So, by the grace of God of Great Britain, Ireland, and the British dominions beyond the seas, King, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. So then Emperor of India was removed because India, as I said, got its independence. Also, you'll notice that it's got Great Britain, Ireland, so it doesn't say Northern Ireland, yet Ireland got its independence. Just wait. Petition of Ireland, Irish Free State. So just confirming the date here. So the Irish Free State is there, so 1922. So as you'll notice, they were still being referred to as basically King or Queen of Ireland up until 1953, which is there's commentary on why there was a Royal Style and Titles Act 1953, where it says that basically the title didn't reflect the current state of things, and that therefore the title should be changed, and that's why the title changed to Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and then etc. That's another thing that Rob Sudy seems to get wrong. Quickly try and look up his website, the Freeman Delusion. So I should have probably already looked this up so it'd be quicker in the video, but it is what it is. So download ebook contents. Then Let's find what St Edward's Crown or Royal Style. Here you go. Chapter 3. So from memory, he has a bit of commentary on this, and current. So the Royal Style and Titles Act 1953, and then part of the preamble says that the current style and titles in relation to the crown is the Queen or the monarch, the King, you know, when the Queen dies eventually, is not in accord with current constitutional relationships within the British Commonwealth, and so it goes. So with that, I think it's in his next chapter then, perhaps, that he discusses that commentary. Let's have a quick look. But I do recall reading something about him, basically, maybe it's in comments that he made on one of my videos, but maybe it's under this one. So, Queen of Australia, and Rob Sudy supposedly going to write a chapter of this book, e-book, whatever you want to call it, about myself. So, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Maybe. Maybe not. Let's type current again. So somewhere I believe that Rob Sudy commented with the extract of part of the preamble of the Royal Style and Titles Act 1953, which we just saw an extract of, but I think he has commentary on there saying basically that something like Australia's a completely sovereign country, nation, whatever, and that is proved by that line of that particular act's preamble, which, you know, the real thing, what it was about was stating Ireland when it became Northern Ireland. So, as you can see here, so all of this was a part of the UK for a long, long time, since, from memory, Edward I or something like that, maybe 1200s. I don't remember exactly, but, you know, someone else can look it up, unless I'm going to do a separate video on it, and then I'll look it up properly. But, you know, the whole thing was a part of the UK or Britain, and then afterwards it became this part only in 1922. They lost all of that, so therefore the title was changed because, you know, the monarch no longer owned or was in possession of or ruled over, whatever you call it, all of Ireland. So that was why they changed it. And anyway, so in Realm and Man, so this is the second of Stephen's 3 ebooks. He also has another one that is to do with the Bill of Rights, but I'm not getting into that one in this video. So this is part 2, Realm and Man, Stephen Spiers. So we go to here. So he claims that George V, in a Royal Style and Title Act of 1917, George V became King of Australia. And that shows that Australia now has royal law, blah, 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 bunch of other garbage. So let's look at all of the acts of 1917 that are listed at least on Wikipedia. So it'd be helpful if it had the act numbers or chapter numbers in the correct order, but it's alphabetical order because then we could count and see, you know, whatever the last act was. So there's a 51, 53, 54. If there's really 54 different things listed here. But anyway, so we're looking for Royal Style and Titles Act. So we're going down, 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 because we're also looking for any variants of that. And doesn't exist, at least in this list. So this, in theory, again, just using Wikipedia just for convenience and because it lists things. So this is an incomplete list of the acts. So that's a bit annoying. But anyway, there were a couple of things. Well, we'll go back to this one first. So there was no change in royal style and title in 1917 anyway. So, you know, that just shows it. And this presumably doesn't say it's a incomplete list. It says it's the precise style of the British. So it doesn't say it's a complete list. It doesn't say it's an incomplete list, but I believe it's a complete list. And, you know, for expedience, it's easier to look at this rather than search for 500 million different other little things. So there were two letters patent that concerned royal styles and titles in 1917 by King George V, and they're transcripted here. So one on the 17th of July basically got rid of all of the German titles, and the reason for that, of course, was that World War I was occurring. There was a lot of propaganda too that Germans are Huns, which they aren't anyway, that they were like these big apes that were murdering little Belgian schoolgirls and babies, smashing their heads against church steps and whatever. That was completely bogus. It turned out it was bogus. It's been shown that it's bogus. It was, you know, all to do with propaganda and so-called winning the hearts and minds of the people to fight their cousins. So also remember that Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, he was a German from Germany, and that was only, you know, she died in 1901, and then, just wait, I'm going to check when Prince Albert died. Prince Albert. Because he might still have been alive then. Oh no, that's right, because he died a long time before, and that's why Queen Victoria was supposed to be depressed. Sorry, I just remembered that. But anyway, so Queen Victoria. So she died on the 22nd of January, which is shortly after Australia federated as a self-governing colony, made up of many other self-governing colonies. And anyway, so wonder if she lived another 20 years, if there would have even been World War I and therefore World War II. But anyway, so with these letters patent, as I said, there's that one which relinquishes the German titles, because for publicity or public standpoint that they're at war with Germany, yet, you know, they've got a monarch with German ties, that kind of thing. Then on the 30th of November 1917, there was this other one, and as you can see, nothing in here mentions Australia at all. So that's a royal warrant. So we got the original here that you can look up, or letters patent technically, but nothing in here says about Australia. It's interesting where it says by warrant, because I wonder if that means it's not letters patent, it's a royal warrant. Something I'd have to investigate. Look, there's an Imperial crown. But is a lion wearing an Imperial crown or a St. Edward's crown? It's hard to see on here. They had pretty artwork on the sides of things. There's a seal. So anyway, again, I think that Stephen is mistaken with that, and then also using his own logic that Queen Elizabeth II was crowned with the wrong crown, therefore she's not the Queen according to Stephen, but George V was crowned with the same crown, and he claims that he was King of Australia. So I tried again looking up UK acts from 1917 to try and get a complete list. I couldn't find one quickly. So here's a title deprivation act that deprived German princes and, nobility or whatever of their English titles from 1917. I also looked up the British legislation.gov.uk site, and that only had, I think it was 8 acts that are still currently in force from 1917, not a complete list. Next we have the Imperial State Crown with St. Edward's Sapphire, which is at the big blue stone in the middle of the cross at the top of the crown. So, as it says here, that came allegedly from St. Edward the Confessor's, or Edward I's ring, and is in the Imperial crown. That was Queen Victoria's crown. Next we have the coronation of George V. That's really hard to see here, but in theory that should be the St. Edward's crown, unless he already switched crowns in. There's a drawing of the crowning, coronation. There's a coronation medal that was issued by the king, where he's clearly wearing a St. Edward's crown. Don't know what the copyright is there for, because you can't just copyright someone else's artwork, i.e. a picture of a medal. Next we have George VI wearing a St. Edward's crown, or coronation crown as it's also called. Then there's some pictures of Queen Elizabeth II also wearing it. You can watch a video of her coronation at the end of the TINLA 10 episode. Also with TINLA 10 they have a video of her father, King George VI, being coronated, and a couple of pictures, that kind of thing. There she's leaving the coronation wearing the Imperial crown. Is where Steve has disabled his comments and claims that he is dying, which, hopefully is well, but who knows what's happening with him. Here's one offer to interview him, and then, again, how about a public debate? So that's from 1 month ago. I think the other thing was from 2 months ago. And then there were also, a whole heap of messages between Juha and myself, utilizing someone else's Facebook, because I didn't have Facebook access. So there you have it. So, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, donate to me if you want, donate to a legal fund if you want to challenge some invalid laws, and have a great day. Cheerio.